seat. I'll have a seat. I'll now call the order the meeting of the Omaha Planning Board. The Planning Board members that are here today are Jeff Moore, David Rosacker, Chris Rubert, our newest member. Chris, thanks for joining us. Jorge Solango, Matt Tongo, and Patrick Morris, Vice Chair, and I am Michael Pate, Chairman. Members of the city staff that are in attendance today are Dave Fanislaw, Planning Director Eric England, Assistant Planning Director Mike Carter, Current Planning Manager Jennifer Taylor of the City Law Department, and Kathy Epperson, Recording Secretary. Our rules of procedure are as follows. Notice of this hearing has been published. Copies of today's agenda are located on the table in front of us right here. You are welcome to come down and pick one up if you need one. The cases on the consent agenda will be heard first. Consent cases have been recommended for layover, have already been heard, or are perceived by the Planning Board to be non-controversial. Therefore, they will be read and voted on without the opportunity for you to state your opinion on the case. If you wish to have this case discussed during this hearing, you may remove the case from the consent agenda. To do so, when each consent case is read, I will ask if anybody wants the case removed for discussion. If you do, please stand up and say so, and the case will be removed. This case will be heard after we vote on the cases that remained on consent agenda. When the case is heard, you will have the opportunity to come to the podium, clearly state your name and address, and give your testimony at that time. When hearing cases on the regular agenda, the board will first hear from the applicant, and after the applicant states their case, we will hear from the proponents, and then we will hear from the opponents. After both sides are heard, the public hearing will be closed and no additional testimony will be permitted unless a board member requests additional information. When at the podium, please clearly state your name, address, and whom you are representing for the record. Your testimony is very important to us. In the interest of time and courtesy to others, please be short and to the point. We will try to limit each case to 10 minutes. Those directly involved in the case, please speak first. We request that large groups select a spokesperson to represent that group, therefore eliminating repetitive testimony. When giving testimony, please provide new information and try not to repeat what has previously been said. We do ask that all speakers and others be treated with courtesy and with respect. In that regard, please remain silent while seated, and please turn off your cell phones. Our decision to approve, deny, or continue a case made here today will be forwarded to the City Council for another public hearing and final disposition by the City Council. Conditional use permits are an exception to this rule. The board's decision made here today on conditional use permits are final and not forwarded to the City Council. Lastly, upon the advice of the Law Department, all communications to the board, members from the attorneys or other interested parties should be transmitted through the Planning Department so that they are made part of the public record. The department will then transmit all information to the board as well as to the rest of the public. A current copy of the Nebraska Meetings Act can be found in the white binder under this room. So there's one major change to the agenda today, and that is we are going to withdraw case number 27 at the request of the applicant. So that case will not be heard nor presented today. So we're going to remove that from the agenda today. Okay? So now I'll go into the consent items for approval. And again, if after I read each case, if you want that case removed from the consent agenda, please just stand, raise your hand, and we'll remove that case from the agenda, and then you can testify to that case. Okay? Same with the layover cases. So the first case on the agenda for approval, consent agenda for approval, is case number 2, item 6, C10-22-203, C12-22-204, the applicant, One Professional Square LLC. The request is a preliminary plat approval of Antler View West, a subdivision outside city limits with rezoning from AG to DR, R7, and MU, and this was laid over from our January 8th, 25 meeting. The location is southwest of 192nd Street and West Maple Road. Does anybody wish to have this case removed? Okay. Next item for approval on consent is case number 3, C10-25-014, C12-25-015, Woodland Homes, Inc. The request is preliminary plat approval of Sunrise, a subdivision outside the city limits with rezoning from AG to R4. And this case was laid over from the January 8th, 25 meeting as well. Does anybody wish to have this case removed? Okay. Next item on the agenda for approval is item 4, agenda item 4, C10 25024, Community Health Development Partners. The request is rezoning from R5 35 to HI, and this was also laid over from our January 8th, 25 meeting. The location is northeast of 28th Avenue and Deer Park Boulevard. Does anybody wish to have this removed? We've got one person here, so we'll move that. And this case will be heard in the regular meeting. Next case on the consent approval is C10 25005 RSB Group LLC. The request is rezoning from R4 35 to R5. And this also was laid over from our January 8th, 25 meeting, and the location is 3960 North 32nd Street. Does anybody wish to have this removed? 36th Avenue, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll remove that as well. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 6, C10 92239, applicant ILD Lakeside LLC. The request is approval of a major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for Lakeside Plaza. This also was laid over from the January 8th, 2025 meeting. The location is northeast of 175th Street and West Center Road. Does anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item C8 24221. The applicant is Creating Homes LLC. This request is through the approval of special use permit to allow transitional living in the R7 district, and this also was laid over from the January 8th, 25 meeting. The location is 115 North 41st Street. Anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is the item, agenda item number 8, item C7 24277. Applicant is Candle and Scott. Request is approval of the conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit in the R4 35 district. This was laid over from our December 4th, 24 meeting. The location is 3723 North 54th Street. Does anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item number consent approval item number 9, which is C31824. The applicant is Lawrence Butler. The request is rescission of a local landmark designation. The location is 2920 and 2922 North 16th Street. Anybody wish to have this removed? All right. Next is item 13, which is C10, case C10 2527, C12 2528. The applicant is Falcone Land Development LLC. The request is preliminary plat approval of McCardle Ridge, a subdivision outside the city limits with rezoning from AG to DR and R4, and the location is southwest of 192nd and Ida Streets. Anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is case number 15, C10 2544, C12 2531. Applicant is Earhart Griffin and Associates, and the request is preliminary and final plat approval of 3030 Upland, a minor plat inside city limits with rezoning from R5 to R7. Property is located within an NCE overlay district. The location is 3030 Upland Parkway. Anybody wish to have this removed? All right. Next is item 17, case number C10 16263, C12 2538. Applicant is South Farm LLC. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of South Farm Replat 3, a minor plat outside the city limits with approval of a major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for South Farm. The location is southwest of 144th and Pacific Streets. Anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item number 18, case number C10 2539, C12 2540. The applicant is Completely Kids. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Completely Kids Henry Davis, a minor plat inside city limits with rezoning from DS to DS and CBD. Property is located within an ACI, Area of Civic Importance Overlay District. The location is northwest of 24th Avenue and St. Mary's Avenue. Does anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 20, case number C10-2532. The applicant is Betty Deep. The request is rezoning from R4 to R5, and the location is south of 17th Street and Willis Avenue. Does anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 21, case number C10-2533. Applicant LT Butler Engineers, and the request is rezoning from R3 to TOD3 MNR, along with a repeal of the PK overlay. The location is 3311 and 3313 California Street. Does anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 22, case number C10-2542. Applicant is Layla Rathert Knowles. The request is rezoning from GI to R7, and the location is 1416 William Street. Anybody wish to have this removed? All right, next item is 23, case number C10-25043. Applicant's Pine Grove Investments LLC. The request is rezoning from R4 to R6. The location is 2214 Florence Boulevard. Anybody wish to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 24, case number C10-2534. The applicant is Worth Realty, LLC. The request is approval of the ACI Area of Civic Importance Overlay District, and the location is 600 North 93rd Street. Does anyone wish to have this removed? Okay. We were informed that item number 25, the applicant would like to have discussion on this item, so was the applicant here? Okay. So we're going to remove this. If you'd like to hear this, we're going to remove this from consent and hear this along with the regular meeting then. Okay, those are the items that are on consent for approval. I'll now read the items that are on for layover. We have item number 19 on the agenda, which is case number C10-22269, C12-22270. The applicant is 156 Potter Villas, LLC. And the request is revised preliminary plat approval of Pine Creek Woods, formerly the Villas at Pine Creek Woods, a subdivision outside city limits with rezoning from AG to R4 and R6, along with approval of the MCC Major Commercial Corridor Overlay District for a portion of the site. The location is southwest of 156th and Potter Street. Does anybody wish to have this removed? And next is the item number 26 for layover, which is case number C8-2536. Applicant is Reflections Residential Living, LLC. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow large group living in the R4 35 district. The location is 9423 Adams Street. Does anybody wish to have this removed? So if we remove it from, it's recommended for layover, which means there will, if the board votes to lay over the item, it will be laid over to a certain date in the future, okay? You can still testify by pulling it off today, but the recommendation is for layover. So no formal approval or decline will be made today. It will just be layover if that's the request or the actions of the board. You want to speak to it, okay? So with these two as well. So we'll remove that from layover. Okay, those are all of the items on consent. I now entertain a motion for the items on consent for approval.
Motion for approval of cases 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, will you record the vote?
Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. Next is, we have one item on for layover. I need a motion for that item.
Motion to lay over case number 19.
Is there a second? Thank you. Your motion is second. Kathy, will you record the vote, please?
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal? Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore? Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay. So those cases have been already completed and voted on, so if you're here for those cases, you're free to stay and listen, or you're free to go. Be careful driving. Okay. We'll now hear those cases that were on for approval on the consent that were pulled off, and the first case is case number 4, which is Community Health Partners, Development Partners. So may we hear, and when you come up to the podium, please leave your name and address for the record.
Sure. Joe Dutloves.
Sure, 1 second, Joe.
I'm going to reread the case, okay? So that case was number C10-2524, Community Health Partners. The request is rezoning from R535 to HI, which was laid over from our January meeting, and the location is northeast of 28th Avenue and Deer Park Boulevard. So now,
Real quick before you testify, and I'll give you a chance, I do just want to let the board be aware I received an email about 40 minutes ago from representative of one of the properties that is not currently owned by the applicant, and it appears that they're perhaps having some doubt and question about moving forward with the rezoning. So based on this information, we will be recommending layover, but obviously we can still hear the public testimony.
okay, very good. Thanks for that information. Okay, name and address for the record.
Joe Dutloves with TD2.
Joe?
Yep.
Okay.
10836 Old Mill Road. Here representing the applicant and answering any questions.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, are there any other proponents? Okay, are there any opponents? So if you want to come up, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I am Eleanor Basinger, and I live at 3003 South 28th Ave.
Okay.
I don't know much about this. I live there, but I'm the only house down there, and they want to put buildings down there. They do not want houses down there. So they, they're trying to have people dig in my yard that are not allowed to because I still own my property. Well, actually, it's my sister's property, but I'm her POA, I should say. But, so I don't feel comfortable of them doing all that stuff in my yard. There's been vagrants in the houses that they finally tore down. I still have one next door to me that still ain't down. It's been several years. And they haven't done nothing to it except for drilling holes and making my house shake. So, but I don't really want them there.
Okay.
So Eleanor, I didn't know you were going to be here, but obviously I received the email from you shortly ago. So I guess, can you clarify your position moving forward? Are you still wanting to talk to, the owner of the other properties and the applicant of the rezoning? Obviously,
There is
prior
no
to this, you
houses.
had given permission to proceed with the rezoning. So I guess if you could provide clarity.
Well, I'm the only house, and there's a house next to me, right? And all the other houses up the hill are down. It's all ground. So, I mean, my family wants to stay there. So they can't, build if I'm still there. I mean, they can't, use it as industrial if I'm still there, right?
They could revise their application for properties that the applicant owns to come in for the rezoning and not include your property, but that would require a new application from them.
Right. So, I mean, I've never done this before.
That's fine.
My daughter usually does better than I do, but she's at work. So I'm speaking up for my family. Well, actually my sister, because my sister is handicapped and she cannot come. And I'm her POA, so I'm just doing what she wants to do. She wants to stay there. So that's it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other opponents that wish to testify? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric? Oh, wait. Joe, you want to come up maybe and address that?
Sure. So, yeah, I think there was maybe some miscommunication, and there was an attempt to enter the property to get some soil samples, but I think we were advised not to enter, so we didn't do any sampling on her property, and we'll either, I guess, do the layover, agree to the layover, and continue discussions. And if the neighbor does not want to be part of the rezoning, we'll just apply for a new application for the rest of the properties.
Sounds good. Okay. Thanks, Joe. Okay, Eric?
Yeah, so obviously I think a layover is appropriate if it's determined that Eleanor and that property that she represents for her family, if they do not want to be included, the layover is fine. It doesn't need to be denied. The applicant can bring back a revised application for the properties that they own and control. I believe there was a zoning board of appeals waiver case maybe on this side if I recall correctly. So if that changes, that waiver would no longer be valid, so there'd have to be a new application for that process as well. So staff recommends layover.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I'll take a motion for layover.
Motion to layover. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, will you record the vote, please?
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, the other items pulled off for consent on approval was item, case number C10 25005. Applicant was RSB Group LLC. And the request was the rezoning from R535 to R5, and it was laid over from our January 8th meeting. And the location is 3960 North 36th Avenue. So maybe here's the applicant here.
Yeah, my name is Cal Cox, represent the applicant.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Cal Cox.
Okay.
2967 Martha Street,
Thank you.
Omaha. This is, we're intending to build a stacked duplex at this location. The bottom floor will be handicap accessible. It's a vacant lot, current assessment value of $8,800. Approximate build budget is $250,000. It's a vacant lot in North Omaha. Northeast Omaha has the highest concentration of vacant lots in the city. This project is completely in line with the Omaha Master Plan, affordable by design. The reason it was laid over last time is there was trailers on the lot. We weren't aware that that was a problem. Shane is my business partner. He's the one that names on the title. Shane had recently moved from Lincoln to Omaha. The notice was sent to the Lincoln address. We got that resolved. That was taken care of. Also, last time I didn't send letters to the neighbors. I wasn't aware to do that, so went back and did a detailed letter to the neighbors that specify, this is something we're gonna build and hold. I would be the property manager, get my cell phone number, gave my address, talked about Shane's history, my history together, all of that, so that's all I got.
Did you hear directly from any neighbors?
No.
From that letter?
Okay, thank you.
And you said your number and your contact information was on there?
Yeah, email address, physical address, cell phone number, and occupation for me and Shane, qualifications, all of it. So, yeah, and I can provide a copy if you guys want it. I have it on my phone, but yeah, I'm available all the time. No missed calls or anything like that.
Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. Okay, are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, any opponents then? Come on. Is there going to be more than one speaking? If so, you can come down here. Yeah, well, if there's more than one, just come on down, then we'll call you up. That would save a little time that way.
My name is Johnny Edwards. I've been living at 3946 North 36th Avenue for 40 years. I don't know if you guys told you is, but North High School is funded about build a stadium, and it's going to probably be in that area. okay? The other thing about this area is that it's a quiet neighborhood is because of these neighbors, okay? He talking about badness. We ain't never had to have the police, never. But if that come is that we're gonna have the police. And now if one of y'all wanna put one of those in the front of your home, go right ahead. We don't want them there. And we've been working at this a long time. I'm 75 years old, and I don't need these people that I don't know nothing about, and I don't mean these people, I'm even talking about myself. It's a quiet neighborhood. That's why it's quiet. We got North High School right there. And he talking about noise. Boom, 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 that's what we're gonna hear all night from that apartment building. Boom, boom, boom. Who gonna come move the cars when they leave? Because they're gonna leave the cars. You know that. We was born that night, but not last night. You guys put one of them in front of y'all neighborhood. Just put one of them and come back and tell us how that works. And if it works good for you, then we'll put them in there. We'll sell our property and let you put them all in there. But this is not the way to do this neighborhood. The other members in this neighborhood is 90-some years old. Some of the oldest people in the city of Omaha live on this street. And where's our city representative? She only comes when she wants us to vote for her. And this is what this is about. None of you guys, I've never voted before my life is this. Why I'm here, and you making this decision about my livelihood. And then nobody up here of color know what I'm talking about. None of you. I'm from the South, Jim Crow. I lived through Jim Crow. And this is what he's trying to bring to me again, Jim Crow. I don't need it again. And the residents he's gonna put in, we don't know nothing about them. The 4th of July is we cut our streets off right there, and we have all the neighbors there come to the fireworks. Do you know is on the other street, and on the other street is one-way parking. These people let you park on both sides because of that church that is there. We trying to keep, not too long ago, we had 2 sex offenders in our neighborhood. We didn't come down here to say nothing to you guys. We took care of ourselves legally. We called authorities and did it legally because we are a close-knit community. And that's all we want to be. Strangers, we don't know. And I'm not saying other people are trying to talk about another race of people, because when you say other people, that's me. That's me. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other opponents who wish to speak?
Diane King, my address is 3956 North 36th Avenue. I would like to voice my concern on a duplex to be built on the lot 39660 North 36th Avenue. I have lived on this neighborhood for over 20 years, close to 30 years. And there are only single-family homes built around the perimeter of where they want to build this duplex in this area. Building a duplex in this area would only take away the setting for single-family safety and quality of life. This will also put a strain on the sewer system in the area, where we have had rain back up into our homes on many occasions. Okay, let me get back to that. Just a second. And it should be like the city of Omaha have record of that happening around that neighborhood. Water backing up into our basements. And just bringing a duplex in that area would cause more strain on the sewer in that area. So, and we just want to keep this area for single-family homes only, no duplexes. There's no duplexes around ever. I've never seen a duplex built around that area, and I've been living there over 20 years, close to 30 years. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Diane. Okay, are there any other opponents that wish to speak?
Hello, my name's Thomas Weiner. I live right next to her, which she lives right at 3952 North 36th Avenue. She lives right next to the lot that they want to build on. I've lived there for about 6 years, and Johnny's right. They have a 4th of July celebration. They block it off, and I've seen it every year, and they end up, I was a little concerned because they have a lot of trash. And after they get done, and I go to bed earlier than most, and they haven't finished yet. But in the next morning, they have it all cleaned up. It's amazing. I can't hardly believe it, but it's unlike any other neighborhood. These people have been here for years. Okay, I own that lot that he wants to build on when I bought my house 6 years ago. And they told me I couldn't build on it. I'm a contractor, or was. I'm retired now, and they told me I couldn't build on it. So I resold the lot back to the person I bought it for $2,000. And they resold it, I was told the last time we were here, for $2,500 to him, to the person that wants to build on it. Well, my concern is that he told my neighbor that sits right next to me that they were going to put a single dwelling in there. So, and he was going to live in it when he was over there doing the yard work. And now, it came to where he wanted to do we wanted to rent it out as a single family. And now it's come to a duplex. Well, we don't want any of that there. Unless he's going to live there himself, we could talk about that. But my concern is it's probably one of the best neighborhoods in the area. These people have been here for years, and we all talk to each other, we help each other out, and that's not going to happen with a duplex there. And my main concern is that we're right across from North High, less than half a block away. All the kids come by there, and to back up a minute about the trailer that he's talking about. It sat there for over 3 months, not in the back of the lot, but in the front of the lot, right where everybody walks, and you can't see the people going by, obstruction. The kids go there and smoke pot behind his trailer. It's just a nuisance. Well, he said that he didn't get the notice. He had moved or something. And well, after we came to this last meeting, before we had the layover, he said he'd get it out of there. It took him 9 days to get that out of there. 9 days after he knew, and 3 months to get that out of there. Okay, well, him lying about these things is what our concern is, because we know that, and I got rentals, and they're all over the north side of town, and I make sure that I get good renters in there by making sure, and I use Berkshire and Hathaway, Orange Management, to do my management for me, and they vet them very well, and they only get people in there with good credit. And I've had good luck with them because of it. We don't know if these guys are going to do that. And my main concern, because of the duplex, is not our street, which is one of the best streets in all of north side of town. My main reason, and if every one of you have seen on the news, in this whole north side, there's an epidemic of gun violence, and that's what we want to keep away from our neighborhood. 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away, 5 blocks away, up on Ames. Boom, 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 boom. People getting killed, shot at. We don't want that in our neighborhood. These people have been there long enough to deserve the right not to have something in there like that. They want to be safe. They want to stay away from the crowds that do drugs, because the house that I lived in, and these two live on the opposite sides of me, and the lot's only one away from me, had to put up for 2.5 years, boom, boom, boom. That's what he's talking about, boom, 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 till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. She'd get up to go to work, and these people are still partying in the yard. And they don't want that anymore, guys. Please, keep these people from bringing in a duplex. And another thing, said that he sent out letters. I'm the only one that got a letter. These guys didn't get a letter. None of them got a letter. So the lies just keep coming from these people. So please, deny it. Thank you.
Thomas, could I ask you a question? Why do you make the assumption that a renter of a duplex is going to be violent or
Because of the neighborhood.
of character?
A lot of people don't want to live in the north side. Do you? You want to? Do you want want to live on the north side? It's because of the violence, the gun crime. It's self-explanatory, sir.
I've another question for you, too. You had mentioned that they told me I couldn't build on. Who's they?
The last people, the guy that sat in your seat, the last said, yes, he's right. They wouldn't let him, but we rezoned it. Okay? Or they're trying to rezone it or whatever. I was told I couldn't build on it. And that's why I sold the property back. I bought my house. It came with the lot. But when they told me I couldn't build on it, I sold it back to the lady. She sold it, I bought it back. I bought it back for $2,000. And he told me the last time that he bought it for $2,500. So he's not out that much money if he doesn't get to build on it. Or he comes, I don't know what you're gonna do about this, but I hope and I pray for these people's sake that you stay away from this kind of thing for their neighborhood. Because they've 30, 20 years, 40 years, they've lived in this neighborhood. They deserve the right to pick who goes on that lot.
Okay, thank you. Any other opponents that wish to speak? Okay, seeing none?
Hey, can I say one more thing?
No, no, thanks. No, I already closed it. So would you like to come back up and address some of those concerns?
So, first, I'd like to say if you guys didn't receive the letter, let me
Just
know I can get
speak
more
to the board, please.
So, again, Cale Cox, 2967 Martha Street. In terms of how much we paid for it and how much we didn't, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. What matters is we own the property, we bought it, we're paying taxes. Whether or not it was legal to build on it years ago, which, by the way, doesn't make any sense because it's an R4. We're talking about moving to R5. So that part is irrelevant as well. Biggest thing is this is a vacant lot. I understand the neighborhood has got their concerns. We're not talking about moving in something cheap, simple, and everything else. It's a substantial amount of investment that we're talking about making in this neighborhood. Again, North Omaha has the highest concentration of vacant lots. They're not doing anybody any good. This lot's not doing anybody any good. In terms of the trailer, it's a vacant lot. We moved equipment there for temporary storage because, again, it's not doing anybody any good. We want to make a significant investment in this neighborhood. We'll take care of it. We'll do it correctly. If there's ever any concerns, we're available. I really don't understand the accusations about, or appreciate the accusations about renters being terrible and everything else, or the duplex not working. Like, the plans are there. They're straightforward. If the neighborhood is going to improve, and it's not even about improving the neighborhood, it's about basically celebrating it. If the neighborhood is going to remain viable, it has to have investment. That's across all of North Omaha. So I've heard the concerns. I don't understand a substantial amount of them. This duplex, again, aligns with Omaha by Design, or Affordable by Design, Omaha Master Plan. We own it. I'm not interested in who did what before. This is what we're trying to do to go forward. That's all I got.
Do you know anything about that? Them saying they didn't receive letters, or, you know, I'm sure you did what you needed to do, but.
I have no idea. I met them last week. I have a copy of them, so I have no idea.
Maybe give them a copy. So they
I
can
just
go-
offered and they walked away, so.
Do you have other rental properties?
No. No, we have 4 that we're doing this year. So my business partner, Shane, does VIP contracting, which we build places on the side. These are maintaining. So these are the ones that we'll maintain. I have had them in the past. Shane has one right now. But this is, so my biggest concerns with rentals that I've tried in the past, like, so, sorry. I rented out our house while we lived in another one. I didn't like it because it wasn't built for purpose. So we had a house in East Omaha. We bought another one in East Omaha, and the house that I had originally was 100 years old. Those are hard to maintain as rentals. The reason I don't have any interest in owning a rental that's not brand new, that I've built, that I know, is because I don't want to have any concerns about what's behind the wall. I want to make sure that everything's completely safe across the board. That's the reason we're building a duplex. Second reason that we're looking at this specifically is for ADA, so specifically about wheelchair accessibility. My sister's in a wheelchair, Shane's sister's in a wheelchair. Both of them couldn't find properties within Omaha that fit it, so that's why we designed this from the ground up.
So there is some merit to making sure that you properly vet any potential
Oh,
renters, which
yeah.
do you have a plan on how you're going to do that? And
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So Yeah, credit score, there's all sorts of services that you can use to vet them. The other way that you can do it is to make sure that's automatically withdrawn from the account, so they have to have the financial stability. But the other problem too that I see is that I'm not gonna deny anybody. So I'm gonna look across the board and try and find somebody that fits in well with the neighborhood. But no matter how good you are in your screening process, if you don't follow up, maintain and manage the project and the house going forward, anybody can slip through. I've hired a ton of people in my professional life, and some people go through and they do an interview and it sounds great. They end up being terrible. You get some people that go through and they don't sound that great, and they end up being your best performers. The whole thing is just about managing expectations and making sure. So my number is published, my address is published, I live not far from there. Shane grew up in the neighborhood, he lives not far from it. And my professional background now is much different, but I spent 6 years working at Boys Town. I'm completely, as a family teacher, we live there. So it's second nature to me to address any behavior immediately, make sure that you get it addressed, make sure you get an action plan in place. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, move on. So yeah, all the concerns are valid. I'm not trying to tear down a neighborhood. We're literally saying we want to invest a substantial amount of money, time and effort into making something good here. And taking what is a vacant lot that's assessed at $8,800, which brings in about $170 for the city a year, to making it a place that's probably going to assess at $350, $400, and bringing in what is that? Oh, $4,000 probably.
4 or 5,000.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, close the public hearing then, Eric.
Yeah, so just a few comments. The rezoning application, this is following the process. The city makes a recommendation based on regulations in the master plan zoning code. The planning board votes and makes a recommendation. Ultimately, it'll be city council who approves or does not approve the rezoning. But I can say the request for R5 zoning is master plan compliant, which fits in with low density residential, which is DR zoning up through R5 zoning. So this, while there may not be a lot of duplexes in the neighborhood and area, it is an acceptable housing form in low density residential, which this site is. Obviously, the city needs infill housing. The property, if it is a rental property, it will be required to have a rental registration. So the property owner will need to make sure to do that. And with that, there are periodic inspections as part of that program. So the master plan supports it. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, any questions? If not, do I have a motion? Okay. Kathy, will you record the vote, please?
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go back to the item then that was on for approval, pulled off. It's item, case number C11, item 25 on the agenda. Case number C11, 2541, Partners for Livable Omaha is the applicant, and the request is approval of PUR Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District. Location is 5804 Corby Street. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Hello, hi, my name is Jessica Sherman. I'm representing the applicant.
First name again?
Jessica.
Jessica, thank you.
I live at 5636 Miami Street, which is about a half block away from the development site. We asked to just have an opportunity to speak, just to introduce our project. It's a little untraditional for us. We're a nonprofit here based in Omaha, and this is our first development project. We partner with the College of Architecture, which is based down in Lincoln, to design products that address some livability issue in the Omaha Metro. Our prior project with them was the Omaha Mobile Stage, which some people here might be aware of. So we just wanted to have an opportunity to explain our project a little bit and let people talk about it and let you know that this is a proof of concept build for us, testing some designs that are small, aging-ready housing, but it's also the first of many projects that our nonprofit intends to develop over the years, focused on infill properties in East Omaha. So Jeff Day,
What's your nonprofit do?
Partners for Livable Omaha generally focuses on addressing livability in the Omaha metro. So the process by which we work is really focused on identifying sort of shared challenges, building multidisciplinary collaborations to address those challenges, and then designing. It's a design-based approach and sort of multidisciplinary. So our first program was really focused on arts and culture during the pandemic. This is the beginning of our second program, which is focused on aging-ready small house designs. So our designs can double as small home or accessory dwellings. They're aging-ready, so it's really addressing needs relating to the aging of the baby boomer population in our metro and how that population can downsize but stay in the communities that they want to live in, and kind of addressing some issues, kind of some opportunities related to ADU developments and infill housing, specifically in East Omaha. So,
Thank you.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other proponents then?
Hello, thanks for having us. My name is Jeff Day. I live at 1501 North 59th Street, so just about a mile or a little bit less from the property. I'm a professor of architecture at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and architect with Actual Architecture Company based in Omaha. It's just the architect of record for this project. We've partnered with Jessica and Partners for Livable Omaha on, this is our second project, as she mentioned. Omaha Mobile Stage was the first. And I run a studio where students get involved in the actual construction of projects. So we have a general contractor, which is Holy Name Housing Corporation, and they'll be overseeing the construction. Students will be not only designing the buildings as we've submitted, but they'll be building components of those. Our goal with this project, as Jessica mentioned, is a proof of concept, and we plan to build other infill properties throughout Omaha, mostly in the east side of the city. We might experiment with a cottage court or some other sort of slightly larger properties, and some ADUs and single-family developments as well. As it is these days, there are only about 10% of houses in the United States are aging ready, and so our goal is to add to that challenge by building a home that is fully developed following AARP guidelines for aging-ready design, as well fully accessible, homes that are easy to maintain. Lighting is sort of variable in light temperature so that it works for people with sight issues. So we want to address a range of challenges in the housing market. These are houses that will be built for sale. They will be aiming at sort of 60 to 120% of area median income individuals, so that's sort of workforce housing. The houses themselves are designed to accommodate the neighborhood aesthetic. So we did an analysis of all the homes in the area, looking at both materials and color and house form, and these small houses fit quite well, we believe, into the Benson neighborhood. They'll be built using structural insulated panels as the primary structural system, which provides much greater than current energy code performance in terms of energy. They're also built with a lot of off-site construction, so the SIP panels are built off-site and assembled on the property. The kitchen and bathroom are built off-site and by the students in this case, along with other storage elements. And this not only allows us to sort of be more efficient in our construction system, but it also reduces on-site construction time, and the disruption to the neighborhood would be radically reduced from a typical ground-up construction project in the city. So we're very excited about this project and moving forward with construction of the two homes that we propose for 5804 Corby. And we look forward to future projects that we could bring before the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Jeff, we have a question for you.
Just real quick, the SIP panels, they built somewhere locally or?
We're working currently with a company, we haven't signed a contract, but we're working with a company that is currently based in Idaho, but they're attempting to build a Midwestern Omaha-based factory. So that I don't know if they'll be up and running before we're ready to build, but that's the goal, is to start to bring that technology into the area.
Okay, so another question then, so the roofing, is it a metal roofing then?
Yeah, so
And
the
is
SIP
it a-
panels are entirely internal to the structure. No one sees
And that'll
that.
be applied after the construction?
Yeah, so
Same
we
with
would-
outside siding?
Correct. We assemble the SIP panels. They come in 4-foot sections and bolted together.
Done it before.
And then we have waterproofing and a metal roof, and then a fiber cement siding system.
Pre-wired?
Pre-wired, and then the kitchen bathroom all of the plumbing is basically in one wall, and that would be built in a shop in Lincoln, in fact, by the students, with a licensed plumber, of course.
And then the drywall would be applied after?
Correct. That's applied after the fact, after assembly.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Jeff, I don't know, this might be a question for Jessica, but just curious, are you selling these or
Yes,
leasing these?
we-
And then,
we're-
okay, you sell them?
We're building them for sale.
Okay, and then I assume the nonprofit benefits from the sale?
Well, we're seeking philanthropy and construction loan funding to build this. The nonprofit would retain a fee from that, of course, as part of the management. And then we'll move on to future developments, potentially based on, additional funding.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other proponents?
Hey everybody, Manuel Cook, community member, board member for Partners for Livable Omaha, and urban planner at Lamper Anderson, 14710 West Dodge Road.
Thank you.
This project really represents the type of innovation our city needs to make housing more affordable and more accessible. And I'll keep it short and simple and just look forward to your continued support of the project. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents wish to speak? Are there any opponents? Yes, come on down, please.
Kurt Beisch, 2714 North 58th Street, approximately 300 feet away from this project. I'm really not for or against this project. I just more or less have questions. In the specs, I didn't see any storage units or garages, so there's a question there. And then reading the fine detail, small print of the project, I wasn't able to establish the size of a driveway or if there was an actual driveway that could house full-size cars, because there's usually sometimes parking problems in Benson. So those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Kurt. Jeff, would you like to come up and address those questions?
Yes, so in terms of the driveways, Jeff Day, 1501 North 59th Street. Both homes in the current site plan have driveways with parking beside the house, past the front line of the home. We are not currently planning on building garages, but we have asked for approval to build carports, or have the owners have approval to build carports after purchase for sheltering the vehicle adjacent to the home. There is an outdoor closet on the back side of each house for lawnmowers and things of that nature. But currently, we're planning on making these very simple and affordable homes and not building garages to sort of bulk up the mass of the building.
Okay, thanks. Any other opponents that wish to speak on this? I'll give you one more chance. Come on. Name and address too again, please. And if you have other questions, I would suggest you just get with the applicant.
Yeah, perfect, thanks. Kurt Beisch, 2714 North 58th Street. I was wondering what the size of the driveways are, you know.
Get this, let you get with Jeff and get the specifics from him.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, close that public hearing on that. Eric?
Yeah, so obviously, city staff has been working with Jessica and Jeff throughout their project and looking for sites and just the idea. So, we appreciate the partnership and continued conversation on, affordable housing, infill housing. There's a high demand for smaller units, and so we're pretty excited and we're hopeful that the project can be successful and can be replicated from site to site. Staff recommends approval of the PUR overlay district, subject to submittal of acceptable final plans prior to forwarding to City Council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do we have a motion?
I'd just like to make a comment before. I just want to commend you both for taking on this task. It's, as we all know, affordable entry-level housing is just an impossible task in today's world, and by being able to partner with nonprofits and such, I think that's an excellent effort, and I commend you for that. So with that, I will recommend approval of the PUR Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District, subject to submitting acceptable final PUR development plans prior to forwarding the request on to City Council.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, will you record the vote, please?
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the case that was taken off of consent for layover, and that's case number 26. Is it 26? Yeah, 26, which is case number C8-2536. The applicant's Reflections Residential Living LLC. And the request is approval of a special use permit to allow large group living in an R435 district. And the address location is 9423 Adams Street. Is the applicant here? You're the applicant? Okay.
Hi, I'm Julie Harding.
Julie?
Julie.
Julie?
The address is 9423 Adams Street. My partner and I, we are looking to ask for a special permit for an assisted living for 12 residents to live there. My background is I had a home health care for 18 years. My partner has a companion care company. She's ran that very successfully for the last 6 years. There is a very big need in Omaha, Nebraska for not these large assisted livings where there's 150 rooms. Ours will be much more affordable. Each resident will actually have a private room instead of the requirement of 200 square feet. Ours will have 400 to 450 square feet for each resident. The staff ratio in most assisted livings is 1 to 7. We will have 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. We handed in our information. It said that we needed to have better floor plans. I did bring my contractor with me. He has the updated floor plans. And then there was a question about the parking. So I'm not sure about that. But none of the residents that will be living in the assisted living will have cars. So I don't know if that needed to be clarified or not.
That's a requirement that you can't have a car.
What?
That's a requirement, like there will not be cars.
Well, some of them, because of their physical status or maybe their early dementia, our plan is not to be able to allow a car because we don't want that liability.
Yeah. I guess my question was like, are you going to require it as part of your agreement that they cannot have a vehicle on it?
Yes. Yes. Were there other questions or what do we just need to submit the floor plans then?
Eric will give you
Okay.
the information you're going to need to get here. And if you have floor plans, Eric will need to see those. I don't think it's necessary to present them to us today.
Okay.
Just give me a few moments. We'll go through the public testimony and then I'll make some comments.
Okay, thank you.
Hang tight. Yep.
Thank you. All right, are there any other proponents that wish to speak? You're for this or against? You're no opponent, okay. Any proponents? Okay, seeing none now, are there any opponents that wish to speak? So come on up, if you wish to speak. If you're against it. And name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Rita Kaiser. I live at 9353 Monroe Street. I am within 300 feet of the home that was just discussed. The back of my house, the backyard, faces the side of their home. And their driveway is on the other side of their home. So we talked a little bit about parking being maybe a difficulty, but unless they park close to my mailbox, which is on Adams Street, I don't think it would be too much of a problem as long as they don't get too close, because visibility is a problem when I have to go around parked cars to get into my driveway. Cars tear up the street very quickly, and sometimes it's rather dangerous. So hopefully that would not be a problem. My concern is we have lived in our house for over 42 years. We're both retired, and one of these days we're going to be selling our house. And I guess I haven't consulted any real estate people, but I think the question would be how many people would want to buy a home next door to a large group living home? And I think some people would have questions about that that could affect the value of what I would get if I were to sell my home. And so it is a concern of mine. Also, probably about 20 years ago, and we are the, we had the house built, so we've lived there. We're the only owners that have had that house. Probably about 20 years ago, the people that were living there at the time, and there have been 6 occupants of that house, and it's a big house. It's probably the biggest one in the entire subdivision. They didn't have big families, strangely enough. They had probably about 4 or 5 bedrooms, and it was just usually couples that lived there. And they sold after 2 or 3 years, and then we'd get another couple in there. And so there have been a number of people who have lived in this house. And my concern is that, you know, the fact that this facility is in our neighborhood, there is already another facility, probably about 3 blocks from where I live. It is run by the state. It's called DUET, D-U-E-T, which is an acronym. It used to be called Encore or Encore. And it's a house that has probably about 5 bedrooms and state funded. And they're apparently doing just fine in the neighborhood, as far as I know anyway. So my concern is, since there are about 10 of them in the Omaha area, these homes, these DUET homes, how many homes are they going to incorporate into our subdivision where they are able to make them group homes? I mean, when the day comes to sell my house, am I going to turn it into a group home? Because there are so many of them that are going to start being built or being owned in my neighborhood. It is a real concern of mine. And I think probably about, 20 years ago, I mentioned before, we allowed the neighbors that were living in that house at the time to build a screened-in porch because we are within 300 feet of the home. And it's never been a problem because there have been small families there. We haven't had noise as a problem. I don't know if noise could be a problem in the future with 12 individuals living there or not. But it is something that I think about. And I feel like this is a for-profit, private, commercial enterprise. It is not run by the state. It is not funded by the state in any capacity that I am aware of. And I just don't think that it belongs in a residential neighborhood. I see on the sheet that was given to us in the mail that this residential district that I live in is called high density. I don't know what that means. Could someone explain to me what high density means?
Yeah, Eric will get that.
Pardon me?
Eric will
Okay.
address that as soon
Okay.
as we're wrapped up
Okay,
here.
fine.
After,
Oh,
we'll hear
when
your
I'm
testimony,
when
and
I'm
then-
finished
and then
with the
we'll
whole thing.
We'll give a
Okay.
summary, okay?
All right. So I guess I just don't feel that it belongs in this particular subdivision under the circumstances that we already have a DUET home in our neighborhood, very close to my house, actually, about 3 blocks away. And I feel that it's private. It is going to be funded apparently by the people that are going to be operating it. It is not state funded. And I just don't think it's a good fit. And I am concerned about our future because we're both older, retired. We're going to be probably moving before too many years. And I would like to get the benefit of having taken care of my house all these years, almost actually 42, going on 43 years, that I would get what I think I am due. But how many people, I ask again, would really want to live next door to a large group living facility? And I don't object to the services that they're providing. I think DUET probably does a great job as well. That is not my objection. It's just the fact that I don't think it belongs in my neighborhood, given that we already have a home that meets the needs of some of these people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Rita. Are there any other opponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Rita, would you like to come on up and address maybe? Julie, I'm sorry. Oh, Julie, that was Rita.
Right?
Yeah, name and address. again.
Julie Harding, 9423 Adams Street. So Rita, I understand that you are very concerned. First of all, the parking, we are not planning on parking out on the street at all. As far as state regulated, we are very, we also have to have the state come into the home, inspect the home.
Julie, you do need to direct it to us.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was trying to
Yep,
talk to
you
her,
did it.
but we do also have to have the state of Nebraska, DHHS come in and go through the house, make sure that it is to their specs, and then they are very strict on policies and procedures, patient care, medications, all of that. So, and we are, the people that move into this home more than likely will be paying for it themselves. But as I said earlier, our goal is to actually give these elderly people a more affordable home that has actually better quality of care than in a large assisted living.
Okay.
So hopefully that answered her questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie, my one question, did you have any, so I assume there was some sort of neighborhood notice because you probably received something. Did
Yes.
you ever have a neighborhood meeting?
We did. Actually, Rita's husband came that night.
There were only 2 people there. I would have attended.
Okay.
But
We can't have discussion.
Yeah.
It's okay. Rita's husband was there. We actually had 2 others, so we had 3 total. And then on the flyer that we handed out, we gave our name and phone numbers. I did receive another phone call from, her name was Megan, and she was concerned because she had heard that it was a drug rehab, and it is not a drug rehab. So anybody that has called or came to the home that night, we addressed their questions. Okay? Thank you.
All right, to close the public hearing, Eric, please.
Yeah, so the city's recommending layover. We did feel there could be improvement with the plan, so it's good to hear that there's some progress on that. We would ask the applicant to coordinate with city staff here, you know, in the next couple days, not during this meeting, but to be able to get those plans to us. The other item regarding parking, there's a concern that perhaps there's being too high of a capacity for the property that is being proposed. This type of residential facility, the city is supportive. We feel there's a need. We feel it's appropriate for you know, these types of homes and facilities to be within neighborhoods to the extent that they can meet the zoning regulations and that they can be compatible and fit. But one of the challenges with the large group living is the parking requirements does not allow to count parking areas within a required front or street side yard setback. So while the garage spots, those 3 stalls are compliant and you know, count towards the parking that's required for this facility, the city is not allowed to count any of the driveway space. So as it stands right now with the proposed 12 residents, we're rather short on parking. And so that's an item that is probably need to be discussed, and we can continue to work with the applicant, answer questions, but it could just be that there's too many residents being proposed. So we can talk through whatever options there may be. But those are really the 2 items for layover. Somebody had mentioned about the zoning designation and being labeled as high density. You know, periodically this comes up. It's probably a bad label in our code. Where that definition comes from is it's comparatively between the R2, R3, and R4 zoning districts. R2, even though all of these zoning districts are defined by by Omaha's master plan as low-density residential, it's based on the lot size minimum requirement. So R2, it's called low-density single-family residential, requires a 10,000 square foot minimum lot. R3 is a medium density, 7,500 square feet, and then R4, it's labeled high density because it's a smaller lot size minimum requirement. So it's more in the labeling, and I don't know, every time this comes up, I feel like maybe we should have a different title for it, but it's just basically based on the lot size minimum requirement. But in the whole spectrum and looking at other sites and, like the last example, that have much smaller lots, it's not high density as the same as perhaps a large multifamily project or something like that. So I would encourage the applicant continue to work with us. If there is resubmittal of materials and it's on for next month, we will not send a new notification. So Rita, if you and your husband, you can always check back in with us. There's a contact on the letter that you received from the city. Maybe check to see if it's back on the agenda. But if there are changes, I'm not saying it will be back on. We need to work with the applicant. So staff is recommending layover.
Okay, thank you, Eric. All right, any questions? Not. Need a motion, please. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, we record the vote, please.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore? Yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move into the rest of the agenda. And we'll go to item number 1 on the agenda, which is case number, and this is in the administrative meeting, which typically doesn't provide testimony, but I think the applicant wants to testify a little bit today on this, so we'll allow that. This is case number C-12-23-170. The applicant is Keith Edquist. The request is final plat approval of Stargrass Acres, lots 1 through 6, and outlots A through C, a subdivision outside city limits with a waiver to sections 5399, sidewalks 5382G, pavement width 5393, street surfacing to waive installation of curb and gutter, and 53-910 streetscape standards to waive installation of street lights. And this was laid over for September 4th, 24 meeting. And the location is 6820 Northern Hills Drive. Is the applicant? That's you?
Yep.
Okay, you're going to take this, okay.
Yeah, so I did speak with the applicant's representative right before the meeting, and she did not indicate that she needs to come up unless something has changed. But there were a few items that we feel still needed to be addressed that we wanted to make sure get wrapped up before we could recommend approval. In working with the applicant's team, they are diligently working and tried to get us some of that information yesterday, but it's too late in our process for us to be able to change that recommendation report. So we're going to continue to work with them, and this should be back on next month would be my anticipation. And Elizabeth, you don't need to come up, is that correct? Okay, so we will continue to work with the team, but staff recommends layover.
All right. Okay, thank you. We have a recommendation for layover on this case, so I have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 10 on the agenda, which is case number C-3-25-9. This is the applicant's, the planning department on behalf of the city of Omaha. The request is approval of the Muller TIF redevelopment project plan, which is 2226 Howard Street.
If I could have the overhead, please. Yeah, good afternoon, Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning Department. This project's located at 2226 Howard Street, towards the west end of downtown. This area here. It involves a single lot that had contained a single-family home That home has been raised, and it was in poor condition, and a new 4-story apartment building with 34 market rate units is going to be constructed. The developer is 2226 Howard Street LLC. It's managed by Lee and Brian Muller. The total investment in the neighborhood with this project is about $9.6 million. The TIF support for the project is $852,814. This project has been approved by the TIF committee. It meets the criteria of our TIF program. It's an appropriate land use for the area. It adds to the densification of our city core, and it complies with the city's master plan. We ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you, Don. Any other proponents that wish to speak?
Good afternoon, McKinley Wilson, 10250 Regency Circle, Suite 300. I am here today on behalf of the applicants, Brian and Lee Mueller, and they are also here today too. If you have any additional questions, they're happy to answer those for you. Again, I don't want to rehash everything that Don just went over, but Brian and Lee have a great project here, especially with its location and its close proximity to the Omaha streetcar line and also to the ORC line as well. And I actually today have prepared an image you can see for yourself. So, there we go, so you can zoom down and in. So, here's a project here that I have circled in red, so you can see here just how close in proximity this project is to the Omaha streetcar line as well. Again, as Don said, this property was originally the location of a single-family residence that was pretty dilapidated and has since been torn down, and it is the future site of the 4-story apartment. There we go, bringing him out a little bit. There we go. Of a 4-story apartment building with 34 units. 27 of those will be single-bedroom units, with the other 7 being 2-bedroom units. On the bottom level of the complex, there will be parking, as you can see here. So there will be 12 stalls available, and then there will be access into the parking from Dewey Avenue, which will be on the west side of the building. And construction for this project is approximately going to take about 15 months, is what we're thinking for right now. And again, if there's any additional questions, Brian and Lee are here and happy to answer them, but they just want to emphasize the fact they have a great project here, especially with how close this is to the future streetcar line, and just provides another great opportunity for housing for people looking to live close to public transportation. And again, we're happy to answer any questions you may have, and we respectfully request approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents that wish to speak? Actually, I'd like to call up either Brian or is it Lee?
Mm-hmm.
Just a real quick question. Do you have experience in this type of project? Do you have other projects like this around?
This would be our first development. Oh,
Yeah, your name and
sorry, Lee Muller, 1312 North 131st Circle, developer. This would be our first development from the ground up here in Omaha. We have owned several multifamilies throughout Omaha and have property managed them ourselves.
Okay. How many approximately?
3. So we have a duplex, a 6-plex, and a 7-plex.
A little bit larger scale project then. And
Yes.
So do you have all the pieces in place that you think you're going to need going forward?
We have been very fortunate, and we feel very lucky to have surrounded ourselves by a great team. We've been working with LAMP. We've been working with Andrew Conzett, our architect. We have civil engineer and our engineers, and we also have McKinney as well. And we've been very close with Don and the planning board to kind of talk through this project and where it's currently located. We feel it was a great opportunity when we came about it, and it being part of the urban core and kind of being able to develop on a piece within other multifamilies is a great asset to downtown.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so there was a rezoning in the fall for this property from DS to CBD, which is obviously, master plan compliant. I would just, a little insight, I guess. This area has changed quite a bit from the younger years of Dave, Mike, and myself. We all have parked up in that area on the street when we were younger planners. So it's good to see the area continue to provide more infill and redevelop. So staff recommends approval.
Okay, any questions? Need a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please record the vote, Cap.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. All right, we'll now take items number 11 and 14 together. Item 11 is case number C32535. It's applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. The request is the approval of the 29th and Jackson Townhomes TIF redevelopment project plan. And item 14 is case number C102529, C122530. Applicant is Gibraltar LLC. And this is request is the preliminary plat approval of Jackson Street addition, a subdivision inside city limits with rezoning from R8 to TOD2 MUR, along with the repeal of the ACI overlay district and approval of a waiver to section 5384A lot depth. Location is southwest of 29th and Jackson Street. So item 14, Don, please.
Yeah, Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning Department, and I'm going to speak to the TIF aspect of this project, tax increment financing. This is a residential infill redevelopment site project on a vacant lot located southwest of 29th and Jackson Street, about a block north of the Super Mikado grocery store. The proposal is for a new row home project with 6 rental units, new construction. The developer is Gilbotrar LLC, managed by Max Honecker. This project is in the urban core housing and mobility district, so there will be a contribution of TIF revenues to the streetcar construction. The total investment in the project is approximately $2.2 million for these, like I say, 6 rental townhome units. The TIF support for the project is $200,445. And again, this has been approved by the TIF committee, meets the required criteria of the city's TIF program, and it's compatible with the goals of the city's master plan. We ask for your approval.
Thank you, Don. Any other proponents that wish to speak?
Max Honecker, I'm the owner and developer of the project, so here to answer any additional questions.
Okay. Yeah, and your address, please.
Oh, 16245 California Street.
Thanks, Max. Any other proponents?
Justin Insinger Engineering, 16934 Brown Street. Just here, the civil engineer on the project, here to answer any questions that may come up. Thanks.
Thank you. And are there any other proponents? One more.
Marta Sonia Londoño Mejia, Midwest Businesses and Projects, LLC. I am here because we support this project. We receive a grant from the Nebraska Department of Economic Development, North-South Omaha Recovery Grant, and we are investing in this project to contribute with housing in South Omaha for $1 million. And other thing is, this project will have a mural to contribute with arts in the area too.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any opponents who wish to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric? item number
Yeah,
11.
so I would touch on just briefly agenda item 14, so we call these up together because they are related. So that's the preliminary plat as well as the rezoning from R8 to TOD2 MUR, along with the repeal of the existing ACI. The plat includes a waiver of Chapter 53 for lot depth. So I don't have much to add, just a few items. There is, I briefly mentioned it in the pre-meeting, there's a little quirk in our TOD zoning, so there will need to be a lot width waiver from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which staff is supportive of. It was not the intent, but it was missed, so that's something we're gonna have to correct in the TOD zoning. So just wanted to mention that. So we will take different motions. So for agenda item number 11, which is the TIF component, staff recommends approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Moore? Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
For agenda item 14, staff recommends approval of a waiver to section 5384A lot depth, approval of a repeal of the ACI overlay, approval of the rezoning from R8 to TOD2 MUR, and approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 7 conditions in the report.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve the waiver of section 53848 lot depth, approval of the repeal of the ACI overlay, approval of the rezoning from R8 to TOD2 MUR, and approval of the preliminary plat subject to meeting the 7 conditions in the recommendation report.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondal?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is item number 12, case number, and we're going to take 12 and 16 together. They're related. The first one, item 12, is case number C3-2545. Applicant is the Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. Request is approval of the 8th and Douglas TIF redevelopment project plan, location northeast of 8th and Douglas Streets. Don?
Yeah, Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning Department. The 8th and Douglas redevelopment plan, well, you may recall approving a TIF project plan, redevelopment plan, for a privately developed project called The Beam about a month or two ago. That approval was narrowly defined to include just the top 12 privately developed 12 floors of a 17-floor building. So we defined that TIF project very narrowly. And we noted at that time that the Beam was one piece of a larger redevelopment project plan. The thing of it is, though, we don't have a formally adopted plan for the larger area, and we need to have a formally adopted plan as the other components of the project, aside from the privately developed Beam multifamily residential, will need city assistance in the form of redevelopment bonds. And for us to do redevelopment bonds and for the city to be assisting those developments, those other components need to be included in the overall project plan. So the 8th and Douglas redevelopment plan expands the area and pulls in these other components of the larger project all into one plan. And the Beam TIF project plan that you approved recently will be incorporated into this plan fully and wholly as it was approved. This visual kind of shows the site. The Beam is this 17-story building here, and one component that will be assisted with redevelopment bonds by the city is the lower 5 floors, which will be a public parking facility. The colorful building is the Children's Museum. It's another component of the plan. And maybe go to a site plan. This is the Beam here. 261 multifamily residential units on top of a 5-floor public parking facility. The Children's Museum is over here. The land will be owned by the city. The air rights will be leased to the Children's Museum, and this will be assisted by the city as well. And then we have new surface parking facilities and an open-air parking structure to the north. That's another component of this overall project plan. Approval of this plan will allow all these components to be developed, some by the city. Only the private portion, the multifamily residential, being developed by New Style Development. That's the only portion that will receive TIF funds, the only portion where the property tax bill will be divided, because the other sites are tax exempt. They're owned by the city or non-tax paying entities. We ask for your approval of the plan. Do we have questions?
Yeah, John, just one question. You say that the city owns the land for the Children's Museum?
Correct.
Okay, so they're going to have a land lease? You're going to have a land lease to the...
As I understand it, they're going to lease the air rights over the land the city owns.
How long is that lease going to be for then?
I'm not sure. I'd defer that to Jennifer Taylor of the Law Department.
I assume it's longer term.
there will be a long-term lease. I'm trying to remember what's in the redevelopment agreement, and whether or not it's specific, it's not a 99-year lease, but, well, it could be, I suppose. I think it's still to be negotiated between the city and the Children's Museum.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to speak to this?
Todd Heaston, New Style Development, 222 South 15th Street. Here to answer any questions along with Greg Rothermel, New Style, and then Caleb Snyder with Lamper Nursing.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Okay, any other proponents wish to speak? Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so once again, we do have the plating component. There's no rezoning to this, so agenda item 16 is the plat portion. You know, I would just say that, you know, we're excited about this project with the proximity, you know, to the redeveloped parks in the area, a lot of activity, you know, great additions to our downtown area. You know, developer, Todd never takes on anything easy. It's kind of amazing this is all going to fit in that area when you look at it. So, you know, we're so grateful for Todd and his team and the projects that they've taken on. So we're really excited. So for agenda item number 12, which is the redevelopment plan, staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion? Sure, fire away. Name and address again,
Todd
please.
Heaston, 222 South 15th. It was actually Children's is the one that came up with this about Children's Museum about 2.5 years ago and asking, and then actually between Steve Jensen and Jacqueline kind of twisted some arms.
Yeah,
So
nice.
Now we're here.
Good job. No turning back now. Maybe. Do we have a motion, please?
Motion approved.
Motion and a second. Thank you. Kathy, would you please record the vote?
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
For agenda item 16, this is the plat. There's a few things the applicant will need to coordinate with us on, but staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 11 conditions in the recommendation report.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve
With the 11 conditions in the
with the
report?
11 conditions, subject to the
Thank
11
you.
conditions.
Okay.
Second.
And we have a second. Okay, thank you. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Good luck, guys. Thanks. Good job. All right, now need a motion to approve the minutes from the January pre-meeting and regular meeting minutes from January 8th.
A motion to approve the pre-meeting and meeting minutes from January 8th.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
And does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? No, okay, we're going to stay here.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Moore?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Nice job, Mike, on leading your first meeting.
Hey, thanks, Pat.
Yes.
Rosacker?
Yes.
Tondel?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, thank you. We're now adjourned. Thanks.